G'day folks. Well, Millie and I have come down into our beautiful Sproutwell Grange hothouse today. We thought we'd bring you down in here to show you what we've done by way of a couple of taps. We've recently purchased this hothouse second-hand. We dismantled it where it was, put it on the trailer, brought it back here, and we've set up a base and we're in the process of reconstructing it. It's pretty cold outside and already I'm perspiring inside. It's a very effective hothouse. Today I thought I'd show you what we've done by way of our mains water pressure taps. I thought I'd show you what components we've used, how much they cost, how they go together, and show you how ridiculously easy it is to put them together if you would like to do this at your place. After I've shown you that, I'll show you how we connected it to the mains water pressure simply by connecting to an existing garden tap. Now there is a disclaimer. Do you want to hop down? I'll tell you about the disclaimer while I put this little one down. The disclaimer is fairly simple, and that is that connecting to the mains water pressure is something that should be done by a licensed plumber. So if you're wanting to obey the rules, then either you need to A, get your licensed plumber to come and do this work for you, or B, you could do what we've done. We've put all of this system in ourselves, and our local plumber who knows us well, he knows we're sensible and he knows the way we go about things, he's going to come along after all of this is connected to the mains. He's going to have a look at it, do the inspection, give us the okay, give us the nod, and away we go. So there's the disclaimer. You should either A, have a licensed plumber do the work, or B, have a licensed plumber inspect it for you at the end so that it's essentially supervised by a licensed plumber. Now that we've got that disclaimer out of the way, I'll show you how ridiculously easy it is to put it all together. Let's go. Okay folks, so the next thing we should do is go through the components that you'll need in order to put together this system. Now the first thing that you'll need is some of this mains water pressure pipe. This is often referred to as blue line irrigation pipe. When you purchase this from the hardware store, it's about $1.50 to $2 per metre, and it's important to check with them to make sure that it is mains water pressure rated. Now the size that we've used is 1 inch diameter. Okay, the next thing that you'll need is one of these couplings. On this side, the coupling is 1 inch diameter, and that's made to marry up with this pipe. On this side of the coupling, it is a 3/4 inch poly fitting size. And that's important because everything else that we use today will be 3/4 inch poly fitting size. Okay, this cost about $8. The next thing that you'll need will be one of these poly elbows, 3/4 inch female to female. That's about $3. And then we'll need a female to male fitting, again about $3 or $4. The next thing that we'll need will be one of these gate valves. This is a copper gate valve. These are fantastic. It's a simple on and off, makes it very easy to turn the water off very quickly. Again, a 3/4 fitting to marry up with all of our poly fittings. Then we'll need some of these poly riser tubes. This one is only 150 millimeters long, and that costs $2. This is a longer one. This costs $3.50, and the much longer one cost us $4.50. Okay, the next thing that you'll need will be some of these saddle clamps. We purchased these from the hardware store. They were 37 cents each, and these are normally used for holding down electrical conduit and fixing it to the wall. They are fantastic for fitting these 3/4 inch size poly fittings. I purchased a bunch of these. I think we got about half a dozen of them, and I actually bent the ends of some of these to fit the pipe that we're going to install the tap on, and I'll show you about that a bit further. The next thing that you'll need will be one of these tap fittings. I think this was about $1.50. Another alternative, or something that you may need, if you don't want to use a gate valve, you may choose to use one of these taps. I don't like these anywhere near as much as the gate valve, and hopefully I'll be able to show you a quick little video later as to why I don't like these as much. These, in my mind, are much, much better. But these cost about $12 to $15. Now, for those of you who are wondering why I like to use a gate valve here instead of the standard tap fitting, I thought I'd show you. I like the fact that they're easy to turn on and off. That sun is really glaring through here at my eyes. I like the fact that these are easy to turn on and off. I love the fact that they're quick to turn off if you need to turn them off in a hurry. Little Millie here hasn't seen this tap turn on and off before, so this could be interesting. I think we'll show the folks how easy it is to run a gate valve. What do you think? Hey? All right, are you ready? Here we go. That quick and easy. I think I've just ruined half my seedlings by squirting the water at them. That hopefully explains why it's so easy to turn on and off. Another thing that you may need, if like us, in addition to having one tap, if you also want to have a second tap partway along, then you may choose to use one of these. Now, this has the 1-inch polypipe fitting here and the 1-inch polypipe fitting here, but it has the 3/4 inch fitting here. So all of our standard poly fittings will fit into here, whereas the water pipe will fit into here. And this is great if you want to put a tap in part way and then have your other tap fitted along here at the end. So once again, that's an optional thing, and this here cost us $13. Now, something else that you may need is one of these. This is called a backflow preventer or a check valve. Usually they come with this guard to stop muck from getting in there. You don't need that. These backflow preventers or check valves are designed to allow water to go through one end and out the other, but not in the reverse direction. And the whole concept of this is that water can flow through into your hothouse or your garden tap, but it stops the undesirable things such as liquid fertilizers, chemicals, or other things from flowing back into the mains water system. Now, these are really important. I believe legislation states that there needs to be one of these in between where water enters your property and your home. And I believe in many states, they also require one of these to be fitted in between your home and your garden taps. Now, we don't need this because we've already got one of these fitted in between our home and our garden taps. But if you do need one of these, they're a great idea, and they range from about $20 to about $40. Firstly, we take our poly coupling and we take off the blue cap. We carefully take out the white collet, and then we take our mains water pressure pipe. We slide on our blue cover, and then we slide on the little white collet. Now, in here there are a couple of extra bits. They can come out, they usually don't, just leave them in there. When you've put the blue cover and the white collet on, just push them all together like so, and then do them up like so. These are self-sealing, but it is very important that you do this up very tight. Okay, the next thing we need is our female to female poly elbow. Again, make sure that you use Teflon tape on all these joins. Okay, now the next thing that we need is our poly riser tube. Again with Teflon, this fits into here. All right, now that we've got to this point, the next thing that we need is one of these gate valves. Now, it's important to remember that these are metal and these are plastic. So when we join them together, we should use Teflon tape, but we should also make sure that we put them together really straight. If you put them on crooked, you've got a chance of damaging that thread. So just take your time and put these on straight. Like so. Okay, so once we've done this, the next thing we need to do is to place another short polyriser tube on. Turning the handle like this can make it a lot easier to get it on. And remember when you're fitting them together that the poly tube needs to be straight so that you don't damage the thread. So take your time putting this together. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to put on the elbow. Like so. And the last thing that we need to do is to place on our tap fitting. Like so. Now, at this point, I should point out, if you don't have one of these check valves, and if you would like to install one of these here in the garden tap system that you're setting up in the hothouse, this would be a great place to place this. Now, you can get these additional things called a 3/4 inch nipple to 3/4 inch nipple. Using some Teflon tape, you can screw these in here and screw these in here like so, and these could alternatively fit in line just here. As I said, we've got one of these, so we don't need that, but this would be a good place to put this if you wanted to use one of these here. Okay, so that's how it all goes together. Now I'll show you a quick time-lapse shot of us installing this system behind me. And once we've done that, then I'll show you how we connect it to an existing garden tap. And then hopefully we'll be able to put some bonus footage at the end to give you some tips and some hints to help you along the way. Okay, so now that we've installed our new mains water pressure tap inside our hothouse, it's time to connect it to the mains by connecting to an existing garden tap. We're going to use the standard fittings that we used earlier in the video, and you will see how straightforward and remarkably easy this is in case you wanted to do this at home. To start with, there's something very important that you need to do. You need to go to the front of the property and turn off your mains water pressure. If you don't turn off the mains water pressure, it's going to get pretty ugly. So head up there, turn off the mains water pressure, and then we can start to proceed. The next thing that you need to do is to open up one of your garden taps. You can open up this garden tap and turn the tap on and run the water out. That way you won't have water flying out of here by way of residual mains water pressure. Once you've done that, we can get on with taking this apart and connecting our new hothouse tap. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take off this brass tap fitting. This comes undone in an anti-clockwise manner. Like so. The next thing we need to do is to take off this poly elbow. In order to do this, and in order to make it easier for us to connect the other fittings, it's worthwhile taking off this saddle clamp. It'll give you more flexibility in the pipe. The poly riser tube will have a little bit of flexibility, allowing you to maneuver around the fittings and thus make it easier for you. So we'll start by taking off this saddle clamp, after which we'll take off this elbow, which again comes off anti-clockwise. More flexibility. Okay, so the next thing we're going to put on is one of these. It's a T-piece. It's a standard poly fitting, female to female to female, and again, 3/4 inch size like we've been using out through the whole project. This simply screws on top. Okay, the next thing we do is we take our poly coupling and we remove the outside collar as well as the inside collet, and we connect this part here. Then we take our water pipe which comes from the hothouse, and firstly we place over the cover. Once the collet has gone on, we place the white collet on, just like we did before. Then we need to connect this to here by pushing in here, just like we did before. Now, once you've got one end of this pipe at the far end secured, sometimes it can take a little bit of effort to maneuver it around. So just take your time and make sure that it does go in here all the way so that this can screw on properly. Again, make sure this is nice and tight. The next thing we need to do is to connect one of our poly riser tubes. So we'll just use the small size. One of these short 150mm sizes is great, about $2. Then we put the elbow back on top. The next thing we do is simply return the tap to the position that it was in earlier. Okay, now we can place saddle clamps back on to make sure that this whole assembly stays nice and strong and rigid, and that way, when you end up pulling the hose, you don't end up pulling this away from its support. Okay, hopefully you'll realise now how incredibly easy this is. Hopefully we've given you the information that you need to feel a little bit more confident about buying the parts, installing a mains water pressure tap, and connecting to an existing garden tap. Of course, under the supervision of your plumber, if that's what you choose to do. Now that we've shown you this, we can connect our mains water pressure back on, make sure all of our taps are closed before we do so, otherwise we'll come out and find a puddle, and check all of these joins and make sure that we have no leaks, no dribbles, and nothing of the like. my suggestion would be, after you've checked all these, come back in a couple of hours and check them again. Maybe give the joints a little bit of a wiggle and just see if you get any dribbles or any leaks coming out. If you do, you'll need to tighten them up. My suggestion would also be that in a week or even a few days, come back and do the same thing, just to make sure that you don't have any leaks. Okay, I hope that helps you out. We're going to put some bonus footage at the end, hopefully to give you some tips as to how we can go about this process and some things that might make it a lot easier for you as you're doing it yourself. So feel free to like the video if you feel that it's helped you. Feel free to subscribe. That always helps us to be able to produce more good quality videos that hopefully will be able to help you in your garden by showing you what we are doing in our garden. And please feel free to place any comments below if you would like to let us know what sort of videos you would like us to produce showing what we do in our garden. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, so here comes the bonus tips to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to install a garden tap in your garden if you so choose. That green pipe there, which we've fixed our water supply to, is simply one of these. We used a 40mm by 40mm galvanised steel piece of tubing. We used this size because it was lying out in the garden. It's been out there for 4 or 5 years and clearly it hasn't rusted, so hopefully that'll show you how worthwhile it is using the galvanising, which is the reason we like to use the galvanised pipe. Okay. We wanted ours to be green. I don't think I need to explain how I made it green. When you go to place this in the ground, it's important to put them in straight. So, when you're banging it into the ground, do yourself a favour, make sure you use a spirit level so you can get it vertical in both directions. When you're banging it into the ground, it's easy to use your eye and think it's going in straight. And then you stand back and you have a look at it, and it looks like that. It'll drive you nuts and it's hard to undo. So take the time, use the spirit level, put it in properly. When you do go to drive it into the ground, remember you don't need to drive it into the ground 3 metres. 300mm is fine in most ground types. You can go a little bit deeper, it really doesn't matter, but you usually don't need to. Before you bang it into the ground, take your pipe, make sure you've got it vertical, push it up against the timber base of your hothouse. Then drive it into the ground and don't just hit it with a mallet. If you hit it with a mallet, you're going to mangle the end of that pipe. So my suggestion would be place another piece of steel on top, maybe even cut off a piece of this steel, place it on top and then hit that with the mallet. When you hit that with the mallet, it'll drive your post down and it'll stop the top from being mangled. When you put this up against the timber and you've driven it into the ground, drill a hole that goes straight through the steel into the timber, and then use a nice long screw that's long enough to go through and get a good bite into the timber, but not long enough so it goes out the other side. I think we've all made that mistake and doesn't look so nice. When you're finished, you can use one of these pretty little plastic end caps, pop them in the top like that, and it looks all nice.